Hello friends, welcome back. My name is PK. In this video, you will learn how to create a beautiful data segregation tool in Microsoft Excel using VBA user form. So as you are seeing my screen, I have created this data segregation tool. In this tool, I have given three different options to segregate the data. The first option is you can create multiple Excel sheets in one Excel file, and your data will be segregated into different Excel sheets in that file. The second method is you can create the multiple Excel file with a single worksheet, which means for each segregation you will have different file. This third option is you can create multiple Excel file with the multiple Excel sheet. I'll explain you all three options, how can you use that. As you are seeing in this field selection box, we have these fields. So let me show you the data first. So let me close this form, and we have this data sheet. Here we have pasted our data from row number 1, and the row number 1 is the header. So in this data we have date, month, employee ID, employee name, supervisor name and sales. You can see in the supervisor we have PK and William. We have two supervisors. We have different employees here, and then employee ID, and we have 3 months data, Jan, Feb, March, and these are the different dates for the month. Now we will segregate this data. So let me go to the settings sheet again and just click on this button to show the form. Let's say I want to segregate the data by the employee. So I'll select this employee name here in all fields, and I'll click on the move selected. Just click here, then the employee name will be added to selected field box, and we will segregate our data by employee name. If I will select here the first option, which is multiple sheets in one Excel file, then I'll click on run. Data has been segregated. You can see it has created multiple Excel sheet with the employee's name, and it has copied the data for that respective employees only. Alright friends, so let me close this. I'll show you the different options also. Let's say I'm taking the supervisor names also here. Now if we want to segregate the data by supervisor name as well as with the employee name, then we can segregate the data here. So let's say I want to create the multiple Excel file with the single sheet. Alright, that means for employee and supervisor there should be one Excel sheet in one Excel file, and we can save that files also, or we can keep it opened. So to save the file in a folder, we can check this checkbox, then we will put our folder path here, or we can use this browse button. So let me show you the folder. Here in this output file folder, I'll save my file. So you can see it is empty as of now. Now I'll click on browse and I'll paste this here, click on OK. So you can see we have the folder path here. Alright, so now let me run this. So it's done. I'll show you the folder now. You can see here in the folder we have multiple files, and these files are for supervisor. So PK and William was the supervisor, rest was the employee. But if you want to segregate the supervisor in different folder and employees in different folder, then you can do that also. So let me delete these files from here, and then I'll go to the same second option and I'll check this checkbox which is create subfolders, and I will run this. Then what will happen, it will create two folders, one for employee name, second for supervisor name. And now let me go to that folder. So you can see here we have two different folders, employee name and supervisor name. If I will go to the supervisor name, then the supervisor files will be available here. If I will go to the employee name, then employee files will be available here. Alright, and I'll show you in the file. So in the file you can see I have opened the Williams file. It has only one sheet, and the data for William is available here. Okay, let me close this. Now I'll tell you the third option, which is multiple Excel file with multiple worksheet. So let me check this, the third option, and first I will delete all the folders from this output files folder, and then we will create our files here. So if I will run this, so before running this we have to select this primary field. If I will click on this drop down, you can see we have two options. One is the employee name, second is the supervisor name. So which one is the primary field? So primary field is our supervisor name. So what we want to create two different Excel file for the supervisors, with their employees worksheet. So let me click on run, and data has been segregated. Let me show you. So we have only two files available here. One is PK, second is William. They are supervisors. So if I will click on PK, you can see this is the file for PK. We have three sheets here. These are the employees who are coming under PK, and similarly in the second file. So friends, these are the three methods which can be used to segregate the data. It can be very useful. You can paste your data on data sheet, just delete this data and paste from A1. Then you can simply use the data segregation tool. Alright, now I'll tell you step by step how can you design this form in VBA. Then how can you write the code to create this tool. We will add a new workbook and we'll start from the new workbook. Just press Ctrl N. So this is book 128 is added. Let me save this file. Let me put here new data segregation tool, and we will save it as macro enabled workbook. Just save this. Alright, so this is first sheet, sheet 1. Here we can put setting sheet and we can add a button to show the form. The second will be the data. So this will be our data sheet. For now, what I'm going to do from this data segregation tool, I'll copy the data and I'll paste on new tool here. Go to the developer tab and Visual Basic. This is the old file, you can see data segregation, and this is the new data segregation tool. Now here I will insert a user form first. So just insert a user form and we will design our user form first. So simply right click, go to the properties, first change the user form caption. So let's put here data segregation tool and the name of the user form. So let's put FRM data segregation. Background color we will take white, and special effect we will select this one. Alright, so our form will look like this. Now I'll go to the toolbox. And here first we will add an image. So just create an image here and we will create a title for the tool. So right click, go to the properties, and here in the image we will not take the border, so just take none. And back color, you can take the back color here from the palette. You can choose any back color from here. If you want to add the new color which is not available here, so you can see bottom white boxes. You can simply right click on any box and then this define color box will be opened. You can create your own color from here, whatever you want to create, and then you can simply click on add color. If you have the RGB code of any color, you can put the RGB code also here and just click on add color. Then if you will see next time that new color will be added here. And then you can create a label. So let's create a label here. You can put your tool name, data segregation tool. You can format this label. Go to the properties. Let's align this center. Then we will change the font also. So just go to the font, make slightly bigger. Let's take around 20. Font name, whatever you want to take, you can take it from here. And then you can move this here. You can remove the background color, that is white. So simply right click, go to the properties, and here you can see the back style. Just take here transparent. 4 color, this is the 4 color, and just select white, this one. If I will run this, our form will look like this. Alright friends, now we will create a frame for the field selection. So let me go to the frame, and here I will drag frame like this. Right click, go to the properties, and the frame caption we will keep here. Let's say field selection. Then we will drag 2 list boxes here. So I'll take the list box, I'll drag the first list box here. Right click, go to the properties, and we will make some changes in the list box. I want to take the border style, it is none, so let me take single border. You can take the border color also, whatever you want to take. So let's say I'm taking this one. So our list box will look like this. Same you can do for this frame also. Right click, go to the properties, and the border color you can take the same, and the border style you can take single. Let's change the size and make a copy of this and paste. This will be the list box 2, and just keep this here. We will insert few command buttons. So just take the command button, the first command button, and just put this here. change the size, keep around this size, and here we will put greater than sign thrice. Okay, right click, go to the properties, and here for the command button 1 we can take the same background color, that was the theme color, this one, and for color we can take white, this one. Font we can make slightly bold and bigger, this one. Okay, and now we can make the copy of this and paste this here. For the second one we will take only one greater than sign, this one, then copy, and for the third one we will take less than sign, and for the next one we will take 3 less than sign, like this. To create the setting frame, we will simply go to the toolbox and we'll take another frame and just drag this frame here like this, and right click, go to the properties and take the border single, and the border color we will take the same theme color, and the name of the frame we will put here setting. In this frame we will create first a checkbox. So let's take the checkbox, this checkbox, and just click here and rename this checkbox as save file in a folder. So if you want to save the file in a folder, then you can check this, and if you are checking this, then we need to take the folder path also from the user. So we will take the folder path in our text box. So we will create a text box, take this text box and just drag this text box here. So this will be our folder path. So right click, go to the properties, and first let me take the border as single, and then the border color I'll take the same theme color, and we will insert a label also. So just take this label and type here folder path. We will put the folder path here. Let's make a copy of a command button and just paste that command button here, and we will put here browse. Make font size slightly smaller, go to the properties and go to the font, and let's take it 8. Alright, now we will add the option button. So we'll add the first option button here, and that option button will be multiple seats in single file. So if you want to create the multiple seats in single file, you can check this. The second option button, just make a copy of this. We will take multiple files with single seat. If you are taking multiple files with a single seat, and if you have taken the multiple field name in the selection, then we can put another option here. Just make a copy of this checkbox and just put this here, and that will be create subfolder. So it will create the subfolder for the selected fields, and it will keep the respective file inside the folder. Okay, now I will add the option button third. So just copy and paste, and this will be our third option button, which will be the multiple files with multiple seats. And if we are creating the multiple files with multiple seats, then we will take a combo box here. Let's take this combo box. Right click, go to the properties, and the border we will take single, and here the border color we will take the same color. In the style we will take list in place of combo. Just copy this label and just paste here, and we will put here primary field. Keep this here, primary field. Now we will create the run button and the set button. So simply copy the command button and paste that command button here, and we will keep the name as run, and second we will keep as reset. Alright, so our design part is almost ready. Now we will start our coding part. Before moving to the coding part, I'll do few default things here, like if this checkbox is not checked, then by default this text box and this command button will be disabled. So just right click, go to the properties and put here enable false. Similarly, if this option button is not selected, then this checkbox will be disabled. So just select false for enable false. And there should be more than one field in this selection, then only this third option will work. So by default we are putting here false. By default, for the first option we are making true, so you can go to the value and put here true. So you can see it is selected now. Alright, now if I will run, then you can see our form will look like this. So first we will start coding for list box, this left list box and right list box. This is the list box 1, you can see here, and this is list box 2. Alright, so we'll start our coding to add the data for list box 1 and list box 2. So when we will click on this button, the all fields will be moved to the list box 2. We can put our label here also. Just copy this label and paste here and just move this here. This will be all fields and this will be selected fields. Okay, now just click on this user form and then user form underscore click event will be generated. Here we can select the activate. So we will put our code when user form will be activated. So as soon as the user form will be activated, this left list box for the all field list box should be filled automatically. Alright, so what I'm doing here, I'm just creating a sub procedure, let's say left list box. And here first I'll take the worksheet, dim sh as worksheet, set sh equal to this workbook dot sheets, and we will take the data sheet. And we know the first row is the header of the data sheet. So I'll take dim I as integer here and I'll put a loop. So before putting a loop, first make sure both the list box should be clear. So I'll use here me dot list box 1 dot clear, use me dot list box 2 dot clear. Then I'll use here for I equal to 1, 2, and then I'll use application dot worksheet function, and here I'll use count a, and we will count the number of columns. So we will use ss dot range and we will take the first row, which is row number 1 to 1. So in the row number 1 we will get the count of columns. Next I, then we will add me dot list box 1, which is the left list box or the all field list box, dot add item, and we will take ss dot cells, and row number we will take the first row because we are just adding the heading name, and then column number we will take I dot value. Okay, so it will be added automatically. So we will call this left list box in the user form activation. So just call this here and let me run this. As soon as I will run, you can see the headings of the data sheet, which is this is the data sheet, will be added automatically here. Alright, now the same code we will create for the right list box. So I'll copy this code simply and just paste this here, and this time I'll take here right list box. The code will remain same, only difference here in place of me.listbox1 I'll take me.listbox2. Rest will remain same. Okay, and now I'll go to this button, this 3 greater than sign, and just double click here, and here I will call the right list box, and on this button I'll call the left list box. Alright, now let me run and will show you. If I will click on this button, then all the fields will be moved to this box. If I will click on this button, then again all the fields will be moved to this box. Now I'll create the code for these two buttons. If we will click here, then selected fields should be moved to the second list box, and similarly from the second list box we can move the field to the first list box. So let's create that code also. So we will create the code on this button. So here we will put me.listbox2. So we are creating the first code from left to right. Alright, so we will put me.listbox2.add item. We will add the item to the second list box, and that will be me.listbox1.value. Whatever value has been selected in the first list box, that will be added to the second list box. I'll show you. If I will select, let's say, employee ID, we'll click here, the employee ID will be added here. If I will select employee name, that will be added here. only thing is when the employee ID and employee name has been added here, those fields should be removed from the first list box and they are available still in the first list box. So what we can do, we can write another line of code here, me.listbox1.remove item, and here we have to provide the index number. So index number we can simply use me.listbox1.listindex. Okay, whatever has been selected, we will gauge the index number and then that item will be removed from the list box 1. So let me run this and will show you. If I will select the employee ID and move here, then you can see employee ID has been removed from here. Whatever you will move, that will be removed from here. The same code we will put on this button also. We can copy this code and double click on this button and paste that code. The only difference is we will make the changes. Wherever is listbox 2, we will put listbox 1, and for listbox 1 we will put listbox 2. So put here 1 and put here 2, put here 2 and put here 2, and simply run this. If I will, let's say, move all the fields here, then I want to move few items here, then we can move. Alright, so we have created the list box fields movement. Now we will start working on the setting part. So here in this setting, first thing I would like to tell you, as soon as we will have more than one item in the selected field, then this primary field combo box, let me show you this combo box. This is combo box 1. In this combo box, the list should be created according to the list box 2 items. So what we can do, we can create another sub procedure here. Put here sub primary field list. So first remove the combo box 1 value. So put here me.combobox1.clear. So let's check here if me.listbox2, which is the selected field list box, dot list count. So here we will check the list count. If this list count is greater than 1, then, and if this is greater than 1, then first we will make me.combobox1.enable equal to true. It should not be disabled. Okay, and we will make me.option3 also enabled equal to true. And now we will add the list item to the combo box. So what we can do, we can put a loop here for I equal to, we can put here 1 to me.listbox2 dot list count. Alright, and now we can use here next I, and then we will add me.combobox1 dot add item, and here we will put me.listbox2 dot list, and in the list we will put I, but the index always start from 0, not from 1. So what we can do, we can use here -1, or you can take loop from 0, not from 1, and then here you have to use list count -1. In that case you can use here I only. Okay, in the else case, else if the list count is not greater than 1, then what we can do, we can make these two disabled. So just copy and paste here. In place of true, we will take false. Alright, so our primary field list code is completed. Now we can copy this code and we will call this whenever we will click on these buttons. Because whenever you will click on these buttons, then the selected value fields may be changed, correct? Accordingly, the drop down also should be changed here. So let's double click here and first call this here, just copy, then double click here also, and then call this here, double click here also and call this here, and double click here and then call this here. Now let me run this. If I will click here, let's say, okay, so we have not defined this variable, so let me take here dim I as integer, stop this and let me run it again and just click here. Then you can see as soon as you will click, this option button is enabled and this drop down is also created. You can select the field from here. If I will click here, then it is disabled, you can see, and when it is disabled, then still it is selected. In that case we will select default this option button 1. Okay, so we can make this change also. So here we can say me dot option button 1 dot value equal to true, and let me run this. If I will select one by one, so let's say I move the employee ID here, then there will not be any change because it is only one field. But as soon as I will move supervisor name here, then you can see it is now enabled and the drop down is also available. Okay, so this part of code is completed. Now we will start our coding here on this checkbox change event. So double click here, then checkbox click event is generated. Now we will take here change and just delete this click event, and here we will take if me dot checkbox 1 dot value equal to true. If it is checked, then else, and if. So if it is checked, then in that case this folder path and this browse button should be enabled. So just right click, go to the properties, and here you can see it is text box 1 and it is command button 5. So just put here me dot text box 1 dot enable equal to true, me dot command button 5 dot enabled equal to true. In the else case we will put here false. Okay, so let me run this. If I will check this, then you can see this button is visible and you can type anything here. But if I will uncheck this, then this button is disabled and you won't be able to type anything here. Alright, now we will put our code on this browse button so that we can get the folder path in this text box, which is text box 1. So let me double click here and we will put our code here. So I'll use here file dialog to select the folder. So I'll take, let's say, dim fldr as file dialog and set fldr equal to application dot file dialog, and here we want to get the folder path. So we will use here folder picker, this one, and just close this. And then we will use few other properties like fldr dot allow multi select false. We want to allow only one selection at a time. And now we will use if fldr dot show equal to -1, then we will take here and if, and here we will put me dot text box 1 dot value will be fldr dot selected items, the first item. So let me show you. Let's run this. Click on save button, click on browse, select this folder, let's say, click on OK. Then you will see the folder path is available here. When we will click here, you can see it is showing select a folder. If you want to change the title, you can change. And if I will click on cancel, then the path will not be changed. Or let me delete this. If I will click on cancel, then nothing will be available here. So let me show you. If I want to see the folder dot show value, so let me put the message box folder dot show value and run this. Click on browse. If I will click on cancel, then it will return 0. If I will click on OK, then it will return -1. So that's why we have taken the -1 there. You can put your title also if you want to put. So let's put here fldr title, and here we can put please select a folder to save files. Okay, let me run this. If I will click on browse, then you can see the title, please select a folder to save files. Alright, and now we can enable this code, delete this. Okay, so we will get the folder path using the browse. Now enable this checkbox when this option button is selected. So just double click and just take here change event, change, and just delete. If me dot option button 2 dot value equal to true, then me dot checkbox 2 dot enable equal to true. And here in else case we will take If the value is not true, then me.checkbox2.enable equal to false. And if it is not enabled, make sure the checkbox value should be false. Okay, so let me show you. If I will click here, then it will be enabled. Even if I will check this or I'll select another one, then it will be disabled as well as unchecked. Now we will put our code on this run button and this reset button. So quickly I will put my code first on this reset button. So let me put here simply me.option button 1.value equal to true, and then we can say me.checkbox1.value equal to false. Okay, so we can uncheck this box and we will remove whatever is available text box. So we can say me.textbox1.value equal to blank and call the left list box like we have called here, this one, while the user form was activated, and we can call the primary list also. Alright, so let's run this, and let's say I have moved something here, I have selected anything, check this, and we have selected any path also, and then if we will click on reset, then all should be reset. So it's working. Now we will create the code for run button, and that is the last one. So simply click on run, and first we will validate the folder path. If this option button is checked, then make sure the folder path should be correct. So I'll say if me.checkbox1.value equal to true, then that is the validation. Okay, first I'll check if me.textbox1.value equal to blank, so it should not be blank, correct? Or we can check if it is not blank, then the path should be correct. So how we can check that? We can use directory, then we can take me.textbox1.value comma, here we will check it is a directory. If it will return blank, that means it is incorrect. Then we can say message box invalid folder path. Okay, and exit sub. Alright, so now we will start our coding from here. So we will create 3 different sub procedures for different option buttons. Alright, so we'll create the first one. So first sub procedure we will create for this button, which is multiple seats in single file. And now I'll tell you the logic what we are going to do. So let's say we have this data sheet here. I will add another sheet and I will rename this as support sheet. We will make it hidden. So here first what we will do, if in the selected field list box, in the second list box, this one, let's say if employee name is selected and supervisor name is selected, then what we will do, first we will take the unique employee name and unique supervisor name in support sheet. We will use the advanced filter here. To get the unique, we will select this column, then we will go to the data and then we will go to the advanced, and here the unique records only. Then you can see it has the unique records only. So we will copy this and we will paste on the support sheet. We will remove this filter, so just clear this. Then we will put another filter on the supervisor column, advanced and unique records only. Then we will copy this one also and we will put this here and we will make it clear. Now once we will have the unique records for selected fields, then we will run a loop. First we will run a loop on the columns, so it will go to the first column, then in the next loop it will go to the rows of the first column. Then it will take this Charlie, let's say from here, from the employee name, and it will put a normal filter on the employee name and it will select the Charlie. Then it will copy this data and put on a new worksheet of a new workbook and it will paste that here and rename the worksheet name. So this will be the approach we are going to do. So let's go to the developer tab, Visual Basic, and double click here, create a new macro. So I'll put here sub. We are going to create this multiple seats in one file. So let's put this name. So first we will take few variables here. So let's take, let me close this window, and then here I will take dim sh as worksheet and dim nwb as workbook. So we will create a new workbook and dim nsh as worksheet. Okay, few other variables also we will take them I as integer, and I'll take, let's say for the last row, dim lr as long, because the records can be more than integer range. So I'll take here long. We will create a loop to copy the data on the support sheet. So first we will take another variable dim support as worksheet, and we will set support equal to this workbook dot sheets, and we will take here support sheet. And we will set for the sh also, set sh equal to this workbook dot sheets, and here we will take data. Okay, first make sure the support sheet should be clean, there should not be any data. So we will use a simple line here, support dot cells dot clear, and on the data sheet make sure there should not be any predefined filter available. Let's say if you have filtered something here and you are running your macro, then it may not pick the correct data. So what we can do, we will make sure sh.autofilter mode equal to false. Okay, so if there any filter available, it will be removed. Now we will use for loop here for I equal to, and we will put the loop from 0 to me.listbox2 dot list count -1. First lr last row value equal to, and from the data sheet ss dot range, from the column A we can take the last row A, and application dot rows dot count, and we can use dot and xlr dot row. So it will be our last row. So what we are doing here to gauge the last row, so let's say we are on data sheet and we will go to the last of first column. We have used the application.rows count, and we will use control up. So whatever row number will come, that will be our last row. Okay, so this is the approach we are using here. So we have the last row. So let's take another variable dim column number as integer. So basically the column number given in the list box, what is the sequence of that column in data sheet. Okay, so we will assign that column number variable. So I'll use column number equal to, we can use application dot worksheet function dot match, and in the match function first we will give the lookup value, that will be me.listbox2 dot list, and here we will take the list index. So we will use here I, comma, we will match on the row number 1 of data sheet. So we will use ss dot range 1 to 1, and then match type we will put here 0. So that will be our column numbers. Okay, and now we will put the advanced filter. So we will select the range first. So I'll use ss dot range, and range we have to provide the dynamically according to the column number. So I'll use here ss dot cells, and the row number, first row number we will take 1 because we will take from the header, comma, column number, whatever the column number is coming here. So let's take this column number variable, comma, we will use ss dot cells, and this time we will take the last row lr, comma, column number will remain same. So this will be our range from the first cell of that column and the last cell of that column. Okay, then we will close this bracket, and we will use here advanced filter, this one. And in the advanced filter, what do you want? You want to copy or you want to filter in place? So we will use the filter in place, because copy can be done in the same worksheet only. So we will use filter in place, comma, criteria, we don't want to put any criteria, we don't want to copy the range also. We will put here unique, so we use here true. Okay, unique. So now our data will be filtered and unique records will be available there. So we will take this range again, and here we will use special cells, and we will take only visible cells. Okay, and then copy, and we will paste this on support sheet. Cells we will paste from row number 1, but the column number will be dynamic on the support sheet also. Okay, first we will paste on the column A, then second time it will paste on column B. So whatever the value of I value first will be 0, so I'll use here I plus 1 dot. Now we have pasted the data, but advanced filter is still there. It has copied the data here. Advanced filter is still applied on data sheet. So we can use here sh, which is the data sheet dot show all data. Okay, we have not called it on run button, so we can put here if me dot option button 1 dot value equal to true, then, and if we can call that macro here, and the name of the macro is this one. You can copy it and paste this here. Now if I will run, let's select date and month and run, then you can see the unique list of month and date here. Okay, it has been copied from here. Now we will start our data segregation. So I'll take two variable here, dim I row comma I column as integer. Okay, we will put two loops actually. First we will put on the columns, then we will put on the rows. So I'll use here for I call equal to, and we will put the loop on the support sheet column list. So let's take here, we have two columns, let's say these two columns. So we will use here from 1 to application dot worksheet function dot count A, and we will count the support dot range 1 to 1. Okay, and then put here next I call, then put inside this another loop which will be for I row equal to, and we will take from row number 2 to support dot cells, and row number we will use here application dot rows dot count, comma column number we know the I call is the column number, and then we will use here this code which is dot end select dot row. Okay, that will be a last row for that column. Here we will use next I row. First we have to check the column which is available here. Let's say we are running the loop on date, so this date column is available at which sequence in our data. So we have to get it dynamically. I'll use the same variable which we have used here, or you can copy the entire code in fact. So just paste this code here. The only difference is this time this lookup value will not take from the list box. We will take it from the support sheet, support dot cells, and we will take row number 1 comma column number we will take I call, and it will match on the data sheet. So we have used here sh. Alright friends, now we have the column number, so we will put auto filter on data sheets. Use here ss dot used range dot auto filter, and first we have to provide the field number, so we can put this field number here. Then we have to provide the criteria. So criteria we know it will be on support sheet. We will use support dot cells, and here the row number we will use I row, comma column number we will use I call dot value. So we have filtered this. Now we will copy this data to a worksheet. ss dot used range dot copy, and we will paste it on a new sheet of our new workbook. So we have to create the new workbook before going into the loop. So we will set here set nwb equal to workbooks dot add. Okay, now it will add a new worksheet in nwb. So we can say set nsh, we have taken the nsh variable here for the worksheet, nsh equal to nwb the new workbook dot seeds dot add. It will add a seed there, and we want to add the seed in the last, not from the starting. So what we can do, we can put here after, we will put here nwb dot seeds, and here we will take nwb dot seeds dot count. Okay, so whatever will be the seat count, it will add after that. Once the seat is added, we can say nss.range a1 from the first cell of the worksheet. It will paste that, paste special and paste all. So we have pasted this. Now once we have pasted the data, we will use nss.name. We will change the name of the worksheet, and we will take the same thing which we have taken here in the criteria, this one. Now let me run this. So let's say I want to take employee name, and let's run this. It will create a new worksheet, and you can see it has created the different employee names sheet here. Alright, it will work even if you will take two fields. It is only for one field. If you will take even for two fields, after copying it, filter has not been removed. Okay, so we will remove the filter. So how we will remove the filter, let me show you. So once you are copying this and you have pasted this here, then make sure you have removed the auto filter mode false here. Alright, so this code is completed, but if you want to save this file, then simply you can use if me.checkbox1.value equal to true, then we can save this file into that folder. So we will use here nwb.save as, and the folder path we will take from me.textbox1.value, and then we will put here path separator, or you can put here the simple slash and the file name. Okay, so now once we have saved this file, we will close the file, nwb.close. Now let me run this, and we will save our file into this output files folder. So let's say I want to create the worksheets for employee name and for month. Check this save file in folder, and I will paste that folder path here, or I can use the browse also and select the output files. Then I will run this and close this. Now I'll go to the folder and I'll open this segregated data, and here you can see it has the different employee name, and then it has the month name also. So all data available in a single file. Alright, now the next option I'll tell you how can you create the multiple file with the single sheet. So we will use the same logic. Most of the logic will remain same. We will copy this code and we will paste this here, and we will rename this multiple sheets in one file, but this time we will use multiple files with single sheet or with one sheet. Okay, so this time the code will remain same. The only difference is when we are adding a new workbook here, we will add the new workbook inside the inner loop here. So just cut this and paste this here, and we are saving this at the last. So what we will do, we will save this here only. Okay, rest code will remain same, and we have not call it also. Else, let's put here else if me.option button 2.value equal to true, then we will call the second macro, and we have to change this file name also. So dynamically the file name will be this one, which is the filter criteria also. Alright, so let's copy this and then call this here, call this here. Okay, so let's run this. Let's create for the supervisor name and for the employee name. Click on the save file in folder, browse output files, make sure there should not be any file in the output files, and select the second option now. Okay, multiple files with single sheet, and run this. Now it is creating the multiple files. You can see in the folder the files are being created for each employee, and it has also created for the supervisors. PK and William are supervisor, you can see. Alright, so it has kept all the files in the single folder. Now we have given another option here for the option button 2, that is create subfolder. So it can create this subfolder also. For supervisor, it will create a folder and keep supervisor's file in the same folder, and for the employee file in the different folder. So we will make slight change in the code. So before saving this, we will check here if me.checkbox2 is checked, then, and if, and here we will use else. If you want to create the subfolder, first we will check if that subfolder is already available or not. If it is already available, then we will not create. If it is not available, then we will create it. Okay, so we will put another if here and we will check dir directory. The path name we will take from the me.textbox1.value, that is the path, and then application.path separator, and the folder name we will take the heading of the field on the support sheet, cells, and row number 1, column number icon, comma, here we will take the directory. If this value is blank, then only it will create a new folder. Let me close this bracket. If this is blank, then we will use here make directory mkdir and simply provide the path. So path, we will copy the same path we have given here, this one, and paste this here and close the bracket. So if we are creating folder, then the files should be saved in this folder. So let me copy this code and paste this here. The only difference is the path will be changed this time. So what I will do, I'll take this path, this one, and just paste this path here in place of simple me.textbox1.value. Alright, in the else case, we will put this path, and if we are saving the file, then we will close that file. Now let me run this and I'll go to the output file folder. I'll delete these files and then let's take supervisor name and the employee name also, and folder path, I'll take the same folder path, second option button, and check this checkbox create subfolders and run this. Okay, so we have missed this and if. Let's stop this, run it again. Okay, so let's run this. So it's done. Now you can see it has created two folders. In the first folder we have the employee data, and then the second folder we have the supervisor data. So it's working. Now I'll tell you the third option. So for the third option button, which is multiple files with the multiple sheets, we can simply copy the second macro which we have created, this one, and we will use the same code. We'll make some changes wherever it required. So just copy this and just paste this here and just change the name, multiple files with multiple sheets. Okay, this time we will put another loop. We will use 3 loops because we are using the primary field now. So, and we will filter the data twice. First, every time we will filter with the primary field, then we will use the regular filter. So first I'll take here dim, let's say primary field row, okay, as integer, and let's take dim primary column as integer. Okay, so first we have to define the primary column number. So let's use here this primary column number equal to, and we will use here application.worksheet function and .match, and this time we will use the combo box value. So me.combobox1.value, that will be lookup value, comma port.range, comma 0. Okay, so we are checking whatever we have selected in the primary field drop down, that column on which sequence available in support sheet. Okay, now we have got that. Then we will use another loop for primary field rows. We will use the variable as pri row equal to, and we will use the same code which we have used here, this one, and just put this code here. The only difference is in place of icall, I will use this primary call. Since we have used another loop, so in the end we have to close the loop also. So I'll use here next pri row, and let's move this here. Alright, now what changes we will do in our code? First, new workbook should be added every time when the code will run in the primary field row. Okay, so workbook will be added here. Then it will go to the other columns, but make sure this code should not run on the same column. If primary field column and the I column is same, then it should not execute, because we are running this code in the all columns, wherein this primary column also will be available. Okay, so we will use this code here and just use here and if. For one specific column, this loop will not run. Let's put this here. The method will remain same. The only difference is we will put another filter here. So that filter will be ss.useRange.AutoFilter, and here we will filter first with the primary column, and the field number will be the application.worksheetfunction.match, and in the match we will use the me.combobox1.value, which will be the primary field name, and we will use on ss.range 1, 1, 0. That will be the sequence of our primary field in our data. Then criteria. So criteria we will take support sheet dot cells primary row, comma the column number we will provide the primary column dot value. Okay, so first it will put a filter. So let me show you what we are doing manually. So let's say we are putting these two fields, okay, and primary field we are making for the supervisor. So first it will go to the supervisor field and it will put a outer loop. So that is the loop which we are using here. So the loop will run in two rows. So first it will go to the PK, and then it will go to the another column, and then it will go to the Charlie. Okay, so it will go to the data, and first it will filter with the PK, then it will filter with the Charlie, and it will provide you this data. And now it is copied and it has pasted here. To save the file we will not make the directory. Okay, so we will simply copy this and just paste this here, but we will save this file with the primary rows. Okay, so in place of I row I will use here whatever we have made the filter criteria for this filter. Just copy this and just paste this here. Call this first. Just copy this and let's put here another else if me.optionButton3.value equal to true. Call this. Okay, so let's run this, and first let me go to the output folder path. It is blank, and here let's take the supervisor name, let's take the employee name, and let's take save file in folder, browse and select this output files, and let's select the third option, and here I'm selecting primary field as supervisors, and run this. It is giving some error. Okay, so we have made some mistake here. We are saving this file here. It should not be saved here. It should be saved in the same loop wherein this file is created. So let me cut this code. We have created this file after this first loop. So we have to save this file here before closing this first loop. Alright. Let me run this again. So it has saved first file. So let me delete that. Select this one, select the supervisor name, run this. Let's close this and we will go to the folder. So let's see the file. Let's say for PK. So for PK it has created the file, but it has taken all the employees coming even under for William. Data is not available here, but it is taking for all employees. So how we can get the rid of this problem? We can put a condition here before copying this. What we can do, we can put here if application dot worksheet function, and we will use here subtotal, and then here we will use number as 103. I'll tell you why we are using 103, and we will use the range of data sheet as ss.range, let's say A to A. If this is greater than 1, then only it should copy. I'll tell you what is happening here. First I'll tell you about the subtotal formula. So let's say we are on data sheet, and let me put here subtotal. The function number I will take here for the count A, so we can take 3, or I have taken there 103, this one, comma the reference, let's say I'm giving the first one, so it is giving me the 811. Now let's say here I'm selecting using the macro pk, then I'm selecting the any other employee which is not under pk. So let's say here I'm using equal to xyg, then it will not give any row, and then the count here, the subtotal count will display only one, which is the header count. So we have put the logic, if it is greater than, then only it will copy the data. Alright, so let me delete this number also from here. Now let me run this again. So let's select this one, select supervisor here, and we will delete these files from here. Now let's run this again. Alright, so it's done. Let me close this form and we will see, let's say for pk. So you can see under pk there are only 3 employees. Alright friends, so friends, that is how you can create this data segregation tool. It can be very useful if you have to segregate the data multiple times. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Friends, if you like this video, please hit the like button and please subscribe my channel to get the regular update of my videos. Thank you so much for watching.